school personnel, and we're delighted today to have with us Nick. Is it Turkas?
That's right.
And he is from the Arthritis Foundation. He's a senior director with their patient education and community connections. And he's going to talk with us about a program called Walk with Ease. And I'm a happy graduate of a Walk with Ease program, so I have experienced it firsthand. So I know you're in for a treat to learn more about how to stay really healthy with this Walk with Ease program. And with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Nick.
All right. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure today to talk to you about the Walk with Ease program, but I am going to talk about arthritis, talk about some major forms of arthritis, the benefits of physical activity, and how the Walk with Ease program works. So indulge me in a slideshow here as I bring this up. Everybody should see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Thumbs up. Awesome. Wonderful. And a little bit more about me. I've been with the Arthritis Foundation for more than 25 years. I've worked at the local, regional, and national level, doing patient education, evidence-based programs, including Walk with Ease. And I absolutely love it. And I loved giving these types of presentations. Again, we're going to learn lots about arthritis, why physical activity is so important, and probably the best way to manage and prevent arthritis, and all about this walking program and what makes it really special. So first, it's important to understand how devastating arthritis is to people living with it. The Arthritis Foundation did a study a few years back with more than 60,000 people. So this was a large study, and we asked them about how arthritis has limited their daily activities. And nearly half said they could not or would have difficulty walking for just 15 minutes. And nearly 2/3 said that they could not or would have serious difficulty going up and down stairs at a normal pace. So just to put that in perspective, for so many people, this means that they aren't able to walk around the grocery store, walk to a bus stop, unable to participate in family activities. So arthritis is not just joint pain, but arthritis will really significantly limit your independence. It's really important that when we focus on arthritis interventions, that we work on things that not just reduce pain, but allow people to do the things that they love to do. It's also important to understand that arthritis is not a single disease. I'm going to show you some of the more common forms of arthritis. In fact, there's more than 100 forms. Some of them are much more common than others, but it's important to know that arthritis is not just a single disease that affects everyone the same way. There are lots of people with arthritis, nearly 60 million, or about 1 in 4 people have arthritis, and those people are all ages, right? So we have seniors with arthritis, of course, but even little ones, even babies can have arthritis. They typically have something called juvenile idiopathic rheumatoid arthritis. And it's important to know that arthritis is not fair. It does impact more women than men, and that arthritis can cause these permanent joint changes. So it's not just the pain, but it's actually can cause significant changes in your joint, in your body, and really affect your whole body. In fact, it can affect the heart, the lungs, kidneys, skin, as well as the joints. So for many people, arthritis isn't just a disease of the joints, it's a disease of the whole body. Some common forms of arthritis that we'll get into include osteoarthritis. This is probably what you think of when you think of arthritis. Gout is absolutely a form of arthritis, affects the joints. We'll talk about some of the causes of gout, and they're probably not what you think. There are a whole host of autoimmune or inflammatory types of arthritis. The most common form is rheumatoid arthritis, but there are other forms that you've probably heard of, maybe seen a TV commercial or two for some new medications for things like psoriatic arthritis or axial spondyloarthritis, which is a very long way of saying arthritis of the back. And then there are some types of infectious arthritis, sepsis or septic arthritis that you can get as part of an infection. Rarer, but they still happen. So how do you know if you're developing arthritis? What are some more warning signs? So of course pain, and it's pain that lasts more than 2 weeks, right? So this isn't just a sports injury. It isn't because you just fell down or got injured at work. And it's not an acute injury. It's something that is a lasting pain. And for many people, they walk around or they experience joint pain for years before they bring this up with healthcare providers. And I encourage you to have a conversation with your doctor sooner than later, and I'll disclose why in just a bit. If you have swelling around the joint, right? We all know that red, hot joints, or it feels tender. That could be a huge indication of arthritis. Also, stiffness. Is it hard to move those joints? Particularly is it difficult to move in the morning versus unable to move maybe after a long day of physical activity. Believe it or not, when you're stiff actually is a huge indicator of what type of arthritis you have. Again, difficulty moving that joint. And for many people, the pain of arthritis is their primary symptom, but fatigue is a huge impact on their life. And they also may have other issues like fever or skin symptoms. Those may be indications of things like lupus or psoriatic arthritis as well, some of those autoimmune forms of arthritis, and I'll talk about why. So again, you've got pain, swelling, stiffness, difficulty moving of a joint. If this is happening to you, it's really important that you get ahead of it and start to form a plan and talk to a healthcare provider. And your healthcare provider is going to take a symptom history. It's going to do a physical examination. They should touch your joints, feel your joints, move your joints. Oftentimes, if you experience pain when somebody else moves your joints versus when you move them, that's an indication of arthritis, right? So when we move our joints and it's painful, it could be muscle pain, it could be tendons, it could be, ligaments. But when somebody else is moving them, that is often, and you feel pain, that's often an indication that the pain is happening inside the joint. For some types of arthritis, like those inflammatory forms of arthritis or gout, they may do blood or urine tests. And rarely, much rarer than you'd think, is X-ray and imaging like MRIs. Typically, you don't need to do that. But sometimes if you have an advanced form of arthritis, they may want to do some imaging to get a better understanding of exactly how your joint is being impacted and maybe where the damage is. So here's the big daddy. Here's the most common form of arthritis, and it's what most people think of when they think of arthritis. It's osteoarthritis. Sometimes you'll hear it called OA. If I say OA, I mean osteoarthritis. And what happens is on the left side of your screen, you have a normal joint, right, or a joint without arthritis. And on the right side, you have osteoarthritis. And the main difference is at the ends of the bone, we have that thick gray covering of the bones, and it's covered with something called cartilage. And cartilage is a slick surface, and it's also like a shock absorber. And for most of the time, our cartilage functions very well. We don't even feel our joints, and our bones rolling over each other as we move, as we walk, as we grab things. But as that shock absorber breaks down and starts to deteriorate, we can have bones scraping against bone. So when people say I have bone-on-bone arthritis, that's not an exaggeration. If you look on the right side of the screen, you see a bone spur at the bottom. Our body can't grow back cartilage. There's nothing available right now that can grow back your cartilage. But your body sometimes will grow more bone as a way to protect itself. And it actually ends up doing more damage than good because that scraping can be really painful. You also see those loose cartilage particles. If you feel like crispy, you feel like that crunchiness inside your joints, that might be some debris inside your joints, those loose cartilage particles. But also it's important to know you have inflammation, enzymes that's happening inside these joints as well. So it's not just the breakdown, a mechanical breakdown, right? Many people sort of have equated osteoarthritis to maybe the gears of a machine that have worn down. But our bodies are not machines. Our bodies are much more complicated than that. And there is much more happening inside the joint than just the cartilage breakdown. Extremely painful, extremely common, more common in women than men. And here's rheumatoid arthritis. This is the form of arthritis that, in my experience, people are most confused about. Rheumatoid arthritis is very different than osteoarthritis. And rheumatoid arthritis is a whole body disease. So it affects not just your joints, it affects your whole body. And that's because the real culprit of rheumatoid arthritis is your immune system. And your immune system is really like the border patrol. It protects you from germs, bacteria, and viruses. But for some reason, and we're not exactly sure why, the immune system in people with rheumatoid arthritis malfunctions, and it starts to attack the lining of our joints. So we see, again, a healthy joint on the left side, and on the right side, you see this swollen, inflamed membrane, and it's called the synovial membrane. And the synovial membrane is really the capsule that our joints are in. And that capsule holds in something called synovial fluid. We don't have blood inside of our joints. We have the synovial fluid, and it works like a lubricant for our joints. But that bag, that capsule, becomes really inflamed because your body is attacking it, and it can lead to joint erosion. And more than 20 years ago, when I started at the Arthritis Foundation, it was not uncommon for people, volunteers that I worked with, committee members. I would deal with people all the time, and there are people that still have significant joint deformity, particularly in their hands and feet. That's because rheumatoid arthritis left untreated would totally destroy your joints. Now, the good news is that there are significant medical improvements, particularly new medications that really tamp down the immune system, prevent this damage. It's not to say that it's a cure or that everyone is perfectly healthy after taking these medications, but it significantly reduces the joint destruction, the pain, and some of the other symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. Those people with rheumatoid arthritis need to see a special doctor called a rheumatologist. That's if you ever, one of your homework assignments today is if you meet anybody that says they have rheumatoid arthritis, ask them who their rheumatologist is. And if they don't know, encourage them to see one of those specialists because they can really, really improve their care. This affects about 1.3 million people. So I've seen estimates as high as 3 million people. So 1 to 3 million people. We don't have a registry of everyone, but we have a pretty good idea based on surveys. Mostly women. It tends to happen pretty rapidly. Osteoarthritis, develops over a long period of time. Whereas rheumatoid arthritis, some people have told me they've woken up and just having the sheets on their feet hurt, right? Where they have significant joint pain all of a sudden. This is often an indication of rheumatoid arthritis, and often it's almost always symmetrical. So one hand, both hand hurts. 1 foot, both feet hurt. So mirror sides, that's often an indication of rheumatoid arthritis. Very tiring. Again, your body is fighting a war with itself. And we think there may be genetic factors attributed to rheumatoid arthritis. Gout is one of the most common forms of arthritis. About 9 million people live with gout. What I want you to know today is that gout is not just an acute disease. So that means it's not a temporary condition. Many people experience gout, a gout attack, which can be very painful, sends people to the emergency room, sends people to urgent care. They feel like their feet, in particular, their big toe, maybe feel like it's in a vice. What's really happening is that our uric acid is not being broken down by our kidneys. Right, so this is really something that is a problem with your kidneys. You don't break down uric acid, and because of that, this acid sort of precipitates or rains down to the bottom of your body, right? Because it's heavier, and it will crystallize, and it crystallizes in these sharp dagger-like formations. And when there's enough of it, those sharp needle-like crystals will pierce, parts of your body in between, your joints in between, starting in your toes, but it can really happen all over your body. And you can have joint damage all over your body, even after a flare. So many people have a flare of gout, they get some medication, some pain medication, and they say, whew, I'm done with gout. That was awful, and I don't have to deal with it anymore. But gout is a chronic disease, and that means that you may need to take medication for the rest of your life. But just like blood pressure medication, just like cholesterol medication, it needs to be done preventatively, because gout left untreated can cause, these crystals can keep forming and damage joints, damage kidneys, cause problems, heart disease, lots and lots of issues. And it's very, very treatable, and it's very inexpensive to treat, but it's something you really need to watch your uric acid. And it's, many people here are thinking, oh, gout, I know this because it's impacted by your diet, right? We hear about alcohol consumption and red meat and shellfish. And yes, that does impact gout, but it's your genetics. That the old way of thinking about gout was diet only. What we know now is that gout is largely determined by your family history, and it's how your kidneys are able to break down this cartilage. And you shouldn't be ashamed and think that people think that you aren't able to control your eating or your diet or your drinking. That prevents many people from getting the care they need. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on axial spondyloarthritis, except to say that it's a form of arthritis of the back, and it affects about 1% of the population. Back pain is a huge issue in this country. And I will say that if you have had untreated back pain and you've tried a lot of things and you're really not getting relief, it may be something to bring up with your healthcare provider to say, could you have something like axial spondylitis? Because that type of disease requires special medication, far beyond what's usually used for typical back treatments. There's also psoriatic arthritis. This is a form of arthritis, much like rheumatoid arthritis, but affects the skin as well. We've all probably heard of psoriasis and this skin rash on our joints, but about a third of people with psoriasis will develop psoriatic arthritis, which can impact the joints, can cause significant joint damage. Again, this typically affects more women than men, childbearing years. Again, if you're working with a dermatologist for your psoriatic arthritis and you start to develop some joint pain, it's critical that you see a rheumatologist to make sure you're screened for psoriatic arthritis, because there are medications that can really help you prevent joint damage. Once that damage is there, we can't fix it, but we can prevent further damage from happening. So really, really important. Lastly, children can get arthritis too. In fact, more than 300,000 kids live with arthritis. It's similar to rheumatoid arthritis, not exactly the same. We really don't know what causes it. It can impact kids significantly. They need to take high-powered medications, injections, IV treatments, lots of pills. And it can affect growth and development, but some kids do go into remission and will, quote unquote, grow out of their juvenile arthritis. They need to see special doctors called pediatric rheumatologists. All right, I've done the big show on the different types of arthritis, and now I want to talk about some treatments of arthritis, specifically physical activity. So if you have access to the chat, great. Please let me know what are some of those benefits of physical activity. And we have a small enough crowd, you could even shout it out. Give me one or two answers. Why is physical activity so important?
Mobility issues. Flexibility and mobility.
Flexibility, absolutely.
Flexibility and mobility.
That's right. I love it. Flexibility and mobility. Yes, definitely true. Anyone else? Why is physical activity so important? All right, chat group today. But physical activity has lots of benefits, right? Reduces your blood pressure, reduces, cardiovascular incidents, improves your aerobic fitness, your mental health, your cognitive function, right? Reduces arthritis symptoms, prevents weight gain, helps you sleep, prevents you from falling, improves your balance, extends your years of life, prevents weak bones and muscle loss, and delays cognitive decline, things like dementia. So physical activity, I think we all agree, everybody knows that physical activity is important, right? And it's not just for arthritis, it can help reduce breast cancer, colorectal cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. So if everybody knows why physical activity is so important, why aren't we doing it, right? I'm not accusing you. I could look at national surveys and tell you that most people do not get the recommended amount of physical activity of 180 minutes of physical activity each week. That's only about 2.5 hours in your whole week of doing physical activity, but about more than half of people are not hitting that number. Why is it?
We don't give it a priority.
That's right, not prioritized. True, true. So here are the common reasons: lack of time, quote unquote, lack of time. Social support, it's no fun to work out by yourself all the time. Maybe you lack energy and motivation. Maybe you're afraid you're going to get hurt. Many people with joint pain are really worried about making things worse. They may feel like they don't know how to exercise. Many people can't just walk into a gym and know what to do, how to turn on the treadmill, how many exercises to do, what type of exercise to do, how long. Exercise is a skill. And there may be a cost, right? I need gear, I need shoes, I need clothes, I need to pay for a gym. I am in a cold weather area, or it's too hot all the time. So weather can be a problem. And I also have this picture of this, maybe you live in an area where it's not so easy to exercise outside because you've got construction, crime. Most US cities are not really walking friendly. So that can be a challenge as well. So we can address that. And lastly, I want to address another issue that doesn't get brought up all the time, but it's a real bugaboo for me, and that is misinformation. Here are some magazines, some internet people, YouTube people, and we got this guy over here in the corner. He's lifting like this giant weight. That's what a lot of men feel like they have to do. If you can't lift giant weights and have giant muscles, then you're really not exercising, and that causes stigma. You've got the woman with the smoothie over here. Drink this magic drink, this magic smoothie, and then all your weight will just, melt away. I'm sorry, friends, but that just isn't how it happens. We can't do that. And that smoothie probably costs $20 a bottle. Ridiculous. Also, we've got this Women's World magazine. I see these types of magazines in the grocery store all the time. They drive me absolutely crazy. You've got this mother-daughter combo. We lost 210 pounds. Fantastic. But right underneath them, shortcut to bliss, delicious treats. So at the same time, how are we supposed to, as a country, focus on being healthy when on the one side, we want people to lose massive amounts of weight, which really isn't reasonable. On the second, right at the same piece of paper, we're talking about eating brownies, cupcakes, and skillet suppers. So it's really confusing for people. And lastly, we have these exercise gadgets. You see these all the time. This is some kind of weird core machine. I'm sure this costs $200, and people probably use it maybe 3 or 4 times, and then they throw their laundry on it. And they say, well, exercise really doesn't work for me, because they chose something that's like this really niche exercise equipment that really isn't really made for long-term use. So these are major reasons why people don't exercise. And I've got the solution, or a part of the solution, and that's walking, right? Walking is one of the easiest things that we can do, but it's one of the most beneficial things that you can do. But the Arthritis Foundation has put together a program of walking. So it really helps people understand how to walk and walk with purpose, really starting at a basic level and moving up to nearly walking for nearly 60 minutes. And don't take my word for it. This is an evidence-based program. This program has been studied for more than 20 years at major universities like University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. The Centers for Disease Control gives it a thumbs up. The National Council on Aging gives it a thumb up. The ACL gives it a thumbs up. This program has been tested and tested and tested, and it works over and over again. It works in the lab, and it also works in the community. It's been tested with real people that go out and walk in communities using this program. And they've all said that this improves your health, improves your ability to walk, and reduces your pain. Again, here are these lots of other organizations that use the Walk with Ease programs. Our friends at the YMCA, Osteoarthritis Action Alliance, National Recreation and Parks Association. We've got lots of state health departments that use this. And these state health departments help fund this program at senior centers, area agencies on aging, community centers all across the country. It's a very popular program, and there's investment all over the country. Again, it will reduce your pain, your discomfort, increase your balance, strength, and walking pace, your confidence, your ability to be physically active, and your overall health. Wow, sounds amazing. And it is. Who's it for? It's for just about everybody. It's for adults with arthritis. So if you have arthritis, this is a especially great program for you. But you don't have to have arthritis. I typically will recommend this program for people that are beginners to exercise or people that haven't exercised in a long time. A lot of people have heard of something called a Couch to 5K, and that is a program that typically helps people start running. I often say that the Walk with Ease program is even before the 5K, right? So it's really couched to walking for nearly an hour. And it really uses a stepwise system of slowly increasing your walks over a 6-week period so that you can build your endurance and your strength and your confidence to walk more. And the only thing that you need to be able to do is stand on your feet without increased pain for 10 minutes. So the barrier to entry is very, very low. I'll mention this again, but what's cool about Walk with Ease is that there isn't any step requirement. So you don't need to do 10,000 steps. We often hear that. You don't need any mileage requirements. So you don't need to hit certain miles to participate in this program. It's all based on the minutes you walk. So I may walk much further than someone else in my Walk with Ease cohort, but we're all doing the program together. The goals of the program are to better understand arthritis and the connection between joint health and exercise, how to exercise safely and comfortably. Again, I talked about that's a barrier to health for many people, or physical activity. Makes it fun, right? If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. How to implement a personal walking plan with realistic goals, and you get to set the goals, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Tips and strategies that will help you maintain a long-term exercise program. The Walk with Ease program is just 6 weeks, but the goal is to get you walking and physically active well past that 6-week period. And it also helps you learn about other exercise programs, right? So maybe you take the Walk with Ease program and you feel good, you feel healthy, you feel stronger, and now you've got the strength and the confidence to take that line dancing class. Maybe you can go join a hiking club. Maybe you want to join a Zumba type program. And maybe you were a little nervous about doing something like that before you had the strength and the confidence that the Walk with Ease program gave you. What's nice about Walk with Ease is it's flexible. It can be delivered in 3 different formats. A group-led program, and that requires a trained leader, and I'll talk about how that happens. And they typically host classes in person. So you've got that traditional class, a single trained person, and you have participants, typically 10 to 15 people, and they meet in person 3 times per week. You also have Walk with Ease self-directed. This program can be done all by yourself. You just need the program book. And that's it. You read the book, you do what it says, and you're doing the program. And both of these program methods, both doing it with a group, with a trained leader, and doing it on your own, as long as you really do the program, both groups will receive the same benefits. So if you can't find a group near you, I encourage you to check it out by yourself. And we also have this self-directed enhanced, and this is a way of saying a virtual program. So we're all on Zoom today. We could all be on a conference call, and we could say, tomorrow, all of us are going to participate in the Walk with Ease program. Everybody's going to get a book. Everybody's going to get the materials, and we're all going to start at the same time. We're all going to read the book and do the exercises that it says to do throughout the week. And we're going to check in with each other. We're going to check in each other 1 to 3 times per week, maybe on Zoom, maybe we have a Facebook page, maybe we have a text chain. And the leader of the group, the coordinator, is going to send us a message every week that reminds us, that motivates us of the work that we have to do. So it provides this motivation and coordination from a coordinator. They don't have to be trained. It helps. This is very popular in work sites, right? So everybody in a business is doing the class. They're doing it together. They get the email or the communication once per week. They may tune in on a Zoom meeting a couple times per week, but everybody's traditionally walking on their own. You might have some group walks, hey, everybody meet at the flagpole Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. If you want to walk with a buddy, you have it, but you can walk on your own and do most of the program on your own. So again, you've got the group, you've got self-directed all by yourself, or the self-directed enhanced is sort of a virtual team option. If you want to be a leader in the Walk With Ease program, it's not so difficult. It's a 3-hour online training. It's offered through our friends at the Athletics Fitness Association of America, or AFA. It's less than $100, and you are required to be CPR certified if you're going to teach the class online. Everybody needs a book. Here is the book in Spanish. Here is the book in English. It's a real book. It's not just a pamphlet. It's a real book, and it's a workbook. So much of the book has walking diary, contracts, tracking your walks throughout the weeks. So it's really imperative that you use the book. The book is inexpensive. It's less than $12 retail, but for community-based organizations, we discount the book to less than $5. It's also available as an ebook on Amazon, and I have just published an audiobook version of the program as well that will appear on all of your favorite audiobook sites in the next couple of weeks. So you're interested, you think this program might be for you. So how does it really work? Check out this chart. It shows what you'll be doing every single week. So to break this down for you really quickly, every week you'll be reading a little bit from the book, and you'll be walking. And the amount of walking you'll do will increase over time. And then at week 2, week 4, and week 6, you will do a little self-test. You can see how far you can walk in a period of time, about 10 minutes. And at the end, you will sort of evaluate your goals and think about ways to keep moving. We use the FIT principles. We talk about the frequency, how often you're exercising. So at least 3 times per week, you're going to be doing walking. You also do stretching and strengthening exercises. I'll talk about that. How intense you're walking, right? So you'll really want to think about your intensity when you're walking. You're doing more than a stroll when you do the Walk With Ease program. You really want to sort of push yourself a little bit so you're walking with intention. You're not jogging, you're not running, but you want to walk with purpose. For how long you're walking and the amount of time that you walk will again increase, and the type of exercise that you do. So you've got walking for cardio, but then you also have stretching and strengthening exercises that you do in addition to the walking. So here's a little bit about how each Walk With Ease day will work. You will do a warm-up. In the beginning, you'll warm up for 3 minutes, and over time that will increase longer to 5 minutes. You'll do some gentle stretches for 4 to 5 minutes. And in the beginning, your walk will just be 5 minutes, but over time it will increase to nearly 30 minutes of your main walking. You'll cool down, which might include some light marching, stretching and strengthening exercises will take you out of the program at the end. So you can see how the program builds. And so in the beginning, the first session will be a lot shorter than the last session, which will be nearly an hour of exercise. Here's another way of looking at the program of how much walking you'll be doing each week. So if you think, I can walk for 10 minutes, you can do this program because you'll be starting with just a 10-minute walk 3 to 5 days per week. And over time, you'll be walking more and more and more, and you add on that warm up and cool down and stretching, and you can see how your walking increases to more than an hour. And again, you're thinking, I can do that. Well, that's the point. We want you to do something that you can do, but you're going to stretch yourself every single week to do a little bit more. We use goals. Goals are one of the best ways to ensure that you actually commit to what you say you're going to do. You'll have a written goal that will help you shape the exercise that you'll be doing throughout the program. It will be individual to you. So you get to set the goal that you want. It also helps us keep a record of, ensuring that you met that goal. You'll use these self-tests, again, these little walking tests every other week to ensure that you're making progress. And then you also want to reward yourself. And after you've set your goals, you've tracked your progress, and you've achieved your goal, you want to make a new contract to keep it moving. So here's what a contract looks like. And you'll say, from the beginning of the program to the end of the program, I plan to walk a minimum of 3 days a week, but many people walk more than that. So you might say 3 days a week for at least 10 minutes a day, or a distance broken into this many sessions, right? You also want to think about when you're going to walk, right? Are you a morning person? Are you someone likes to maybe walk before lunch or in the afternoon? Or maybe you like a light stroll after dinner. Thinking about when you walk will ensure that you do it, because so often people, when they don't plan for it, the day sort of escapes from them, and then they think, oh, I ran out of time. You spend time with your warm up and your cool down. You think about a reward for halfway and when you complete the program. These rewards can be something as simple as maybe saying my halfway reward is buying myself some new wool socks to enjoy my walk, or maybe a special healthy smoothie that I'm going to make for myself. I mean, when I complete the program, my reward will be maybe I'm going to sign up for a local 5K and walk that, or maybe your reward will be a shopping trip, or even a hot bubble bath. Anything that you want is your reward. Yep. All right. So I've talked about arthritis. I've talked about how the program works. And I hope you have a better understanding of how that all comes together. And at this time, I'm going to take my slides down and look at everybody. And I'd love to entertain questions, and I can answer questions about arthritis, about the Walk with Ease program, physical activity. And then I'll close with some Arthritis Foundation resources. So anybody have any questions at this time? Everybody's going to find a Walk with Ease class near you. Ways to find it is to check out, it's often hosted at YMCAs and community centers. If you're comfortable with the internet, just Googling Walk with Ease near me. You can also go to a website called findhelp.org, FINDHELP, Find Help, and Google and put in Walk with Ease, and classes will show up. And also you can, again, order the book and do the program on your own. You can always go to arthritis.org, and we have information on the program and where to buy the book as well.
How often do you offer the training for someone to become a leader?
What's great about it is it's an online class, and so you can take it at any time you want. So it's offered all the time, 365, and it only takes about 3 hours to take a class. And if you need to take breaks throughout, if you need to stop and start, maybe you do an hour at a time, that's no problem. So you don't need to commit to a block of 3 hours. You just need to commit to the 3 hours over however long it takes you to do it. There's a little test that you have to take at the end. If you've paid attention, you should be able to complete it. It's not too difficult. And again, if you're teaching the class to a group, it's important that you have a CPR certification. You are teaching class for people that may not have exercised in a long time. And for the safety of our participants, we want to make sure that you're CPR certified in case of a heart emergency.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
My local senior center actually started the Walk with Ease program
Fantastic.
this week, and I signed up for it. Unfortunately, I had to go out of town for
Okay.
a babysitting assignment. So
Okay.
I'm really happy that I got to be part of this Zoom today. My question is, um, if we aren't able to attend the sessions on a continuous basis, are we missing a lot? Does this mean that because I'm missing this first week that I won't be able to fully participate or participate at all? Because unlike what some people think, we senior citizens do have a life.
I
So
bet. Absolutely.
sometimes a 6 week program may
That's a
not be.
commitment. Yeah, it's a
Yes,
commitment.
yes.
I
So,
get it.
okay.
So here's the good news. You're fine if you missed the first class. Do a little, maybe a 10-minute walk on your own and see how you feel. That's probably what they covered that very first week. In fact, I know that's what it is. And the evidence says that if you attend 12 of the 18 sessions, so twice a week, you will get the benefit of the program. If you're going to get less than that, maybe not, as helpful, but any physical activity is better than no physical activity, right? So again, you can walk on your own in addition to the class. It's just like I often have heard, people say, I don't take piano lessons for the instructor. I go to piano lessons because it's the accountability for me to practice on my own, right? Most of the work happens on your own, right? So walking on your own is the most important thing, and that's what you're developing that healthy habit. But signing up for classes like this really creates those healthy habits, or the discipline, the motivation to sort of learn about exercise and continue to go. So don't be discouraged. You're not the only one, for sure. It's hard to be perfect, so don't hold yourself to that standard.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will say, from my perspective, I participated in our local Council on Aging class, and our instructor was very flexible because there were some that had been walking prior to the class and some that were just beginning. And so she just kind of let everybody walk at their own pace.
That's right. That's the beauty of it. You may have a group of gazelles, as I call them, the people that are walking a lot faster, and then you may have the Clydesdales, right? You may have the people that are walking a little bit slower, but most of the instructors are taught, maybe you walk in a circuit or in a circle, so people can sort of walk together, and you may have the group some people are sort of passing each other naturally, but you're sort of all together. You may also have, what I call like a loop back. So maybe you're going point to point, but those people that are in the front, once they get a certain distance ahead of people, they can kind of loop back around the people in the back. And so they kind of walk in kind of a looping fashion that works as well. And sometimes you just have people that will just, have a fast group and a small group, but everybody seems to have to buddy up and to have somebody to walk with. And you always do your stretching and strengthening all together. So you'll still get to enjoy lots of, fellowship together. So yes. That's a big part of it.
Nick, could you repeat how to find your local classes?
Sure.
Could you go online? Thank you.
That's right. So, the simplest is, you can Google it, Walk with Ease near me. You can go to findhelp.org, findhelp.org, and it's sort of like a community resource aggregator, and you can just put Walk with Ease in there and it will show up. And it'll also show you on our website, we have a helpline that helps people find community-based exercise classes. In fact, I'm going to bring that back up now, and I'm going to share some Arthritis Foundation resources, including our helpline. I think you're seeing my screen now. You see it? Here is our helpline at 1-800-283-7800. If you say, I want to do Walk with Ease, or I want to find a class. There are trained staff that can help you do that. If you prefer to email them, helpline@arthritis.org. What's cool about this is that it can answer your questions about Walk with Ease, but arthritis, insurance, find other people with arthritis, support groups, just anything you have questions about arthritis or healthcare, they probably can answer that question for you. The Arthritis Foundation also has other great programs. We have a webinar series. These are free webinars that happen on Zoom, just like this. So if you can get to this class, you can get to one of our webinars. They happen about every month, typically the fourth Thursday of the month. And in June, we're going to be talking about your back and arthritis. And in July, we'll be talking about movement, including Walk with Ease, but other great evidence-based programs for people with arthritis and the benefits of physical activity. You can go to arthritis.org/webinars or call our helpline team, and they're happy to get you registered for a class. We also have what we call connect groups. These are like a support group for people with arthritis. We have more than 65 groups that meet online on Zoom like this and in the community. So if you want to meet in person, you can find that, but you also can find these virtual groups. This is just a small smattering of options that we have in the next couple of weeks. Groups for chronic pain, psoriatic arthritis, newly diagnosed, but we have groups for osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, parents of children with arthritis. You know, again, based on where you live, the type of arthritis you have, and the community that you live in. We even have groups for veterans, you know, really just diverse groups of that, and they're always free, and they meet just about every day. We have a meeting. And then lastly, it's, if you see my little background, I've got my green hearts. May is Arthritis Awareness Month, and we're highlighting the green heart as a way to show support for people living with arthritis pain, and it's just a fun way to raise awareness for arthritis, much like you maybe see pink ribbons and things like that. We're trying to use the green heart, so let's get the green heart going.
I didn't even know that when I scheduled this presentation.
Yeah, very timely, very
very
timely.
timely.
Very perfect. Great.
If there are no other questions from the group, I'd like to extend a huge thank you. I have learned so much myself, even though I participated in the walking class itself. I was going, I didn't know that was actually considered a form of arthritis. So it was very informative as well. For those that don't know, I failed to introduce myself in the beginning. I'm Levita Wetherington. I co-chair the Quality of Life Committee for the North Carolina Retired School Personnel. And so I set up these sessions with different presenters. So if there's a topic that you're interested in, please let me know, and I'll try to schedule a presenter for our monthly Wednesday workshop. I also would like to thank Carol. Carol, give them a wave. She is our staff person who helps to facilitate.
Thank you very much.
She's always.
So I have a question, Levita.
Sure.
Nick,
Okay.
if we want to get the green heart, to post it on our Facebook page,
Oh yeah,
or attach it to our email or whatever, we just go to arthritis.org and we can copy and paste the green heart for May.
you can do that, or it's in emoji. Do you ever use emojis on your cell phone, or if you're using a computer, the Microsoft button and period together will bring up your emojis, and you can. I'm gonna put it in the chat now. I can find it, and I can put lots of hearts in here, and it's very easy to do. So you can sort of,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh.
I'll teach you a little computer trick.
Neat.
Well,
so
one other thing
spread the word. Yeah.
Yeah,
People
spread
ask
it
us,
online.
What does the
That's
green
right.
heart mean? So,
And say it's for arthritis. That's right. The last thing I want to mention real fast is, because you all are former teachers, if you would ever be inspired to give a presentation on arthritis, the Arthritis Foundation has a volunteer program where we'll give you a slide deck. That's arthritis basics. So you don't have to be a medical professional, but just sort of raise awareness. Again, think about that green heart, about arthritis, and that there are different types of arthritis and some basic management of arthritis that includes eating healthy and physical activity, things like that. We're always looking for speakers in our speakers bureau, and ex-teachers would be a great group. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat here as well. And if you're interested in that, we can get you all trained up in that program, where you can maybe help educate your community about the importance of arthritis and its management.
Well, you know,
It's-
that's another one of our focuses as an organization is to do volunteer work in our community. So
there you go. You guys
there's
would
a
be fantastic.
double.
I love
I
it.
like
I love
that.
it. Fantastic. Yes, follow
And
up with
there's
me.
no such thing as an ex-teacher. Once a
That's
teacher,
always
always
a teacher. We'll give you, you know it. I'll give you the syllabus. I'll give you the materials, and you guys could run with it. I think it'd be great. Think about like at your church group, at local YMCA, Lions Club, places like that are often looking for speakers, and I can't be everywhere. So if we can train up people to do some basic programming, it would really help us really raise awareness about the disease and resources, and y'all would be fantastic.
Well, once again, I want to say thank you, Nick, for sharing all this wonderful information today. I would like to invite all of you to give me some feedback, but also to next month's Wednesday workshop, which will be on June the 10th or 11th, I think it is. And our presenter will be one of our own members. Amy Bridges will be talking to us as on the Master Gardening Program. And she is from Region 2. So we look forward to having Amy come and present to our members. And again, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Carol, once more. And absolutely thank you again, Nick, for sharing today. And everybody have a great afternoon, and maybe you can stay dry. I know it's been very wet over here in the eastern part of the state.
I'm in Charlotte. It's crummy over here too. Yep.
Well, we got a lot of rain yesterday.
Yeah, too much. Yep. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nick. Bye-bye.
Nick.
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
I have already